All right, everybody, for this lesson, I want to talk about applying text to a drawing, manipulating text on a drawing, setting up fonts and font sizes, copying, moving, rotating. That's what this is about. So let's go ahead and do the screen share and pay attention. All right, so here I've got just a basic little cube drawn here. It's bisected vertically and horizontally. And now I want to apply a little bit of text to this. So let's go ahead and select the text command from my ribbon. And the first thing it wants to do is specify the size of the area that you're going to type in the text. So I specify the size, I right click, and now I can begin to type in something. So I'm just going to call this Foursquare. So I type it in, I hit enter and hit escape. And I want to save it. So yeah, we'll save it. And there is the word Foursquare. The word is a little bit small. I think I'd like it a little bit bigger. So how do I make the word Foursquare bigger? If I double click on Foursquare, I go into the annotation mode. And under the annotation mode, I can change things about my text. So I want to highlight my text first of all. So there you see it's blue, it's highlighted. Right over here under the word annotate, I have the size of the text. So if I hit the drop down menu, I got different sizes. If I've never inputted a different size, well, the automatic default is 0.2 inches. So I went ahead and typed in 0.8. I could select it, or I can go ahead and maybe type in a bigger one. So let's go to 1.0 and hit enter. Now my size of the text has increased dramatically. While I'm here, if I wanted to, I could change different dynamics about the text. I could make it bold. I could underline it. I could put it in italics font. And also I could change the font text type. So maybe I will go to Comic Sans and I'll make that bold. And why not? I'll make it italicized. So boom, there you go. Foursquare, I have changed the text. Now, it doesn't really look like it is lined up properly. So maybe I would like this to line up a little bit a little bit better. If I want to get it exact, I could take the size that I originally specified. If I grab that little arrow there, or a diamond, excuse me, and I can get it sized just right. If I go too much, it'll drop down, so I don't want to do that. So now I've specified that size, and there it is. Now I want to get the center of this lined up with the center of my square. Now, one thing that's important that will help us achieve this is if I've got my snaps set correctly. So down here, I've got the snap cursor, and I want to just double check that things are checked, properly checked. So especially this word extension, because I'm going to show you what that does right now. So here we go. So if I select this, which is already selected, I right click and I hit move. And if I grab it in the center, which I think that was the center, now I can move it. So I can try and, I can try and hit the center if I want, maybe take a guess. But what I can do is I can go down and touch the center of my square. And as I start to go up, look at that. You see that little green dotted line? That is my extension line, and that will ensure that I am perfectly centered. Now let's name these squares. We're going to name these squares 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I will go ahead and hit the text one more time. I'm just going to make a text box in there. And I'm going to use the Roman numeral I. And hit enter. And there it is. Okay, now, once again, that I is pretty small indeed. I want that thing to be quite bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it, double click. So I'm in the annotation mode. We will make it, let's type in 1.25. We'll make it real big. 1.25. Hit return. Oh, it didn't work because I didn't highlight it. Highlighted, it's blue. Go back up here. 1.25. Hit enter. There it is. Okay. Now, I want this in the center. So again, if I double click that, shrink that a little bit, and let's move it in the center. So I'm going to hit move. I'm just going to grab this right in the dead center here, and I'm going to try and get it right there. Well, by golly ding dangy, unfortunately, the snaps don't work because this is not an individual square. Now I could center it here, but this is not. How do I center it? Nuts. That's a problem. Well, what I can do is I can make some guidelines to help me center it. So if I hit my line, and I could go from corner to corner, boom, go from this corner to that corner. And now I've got a nice little reference point where I can snap this to. So I will hit move, and we'll grab it here, and boom, now I can snap it in out of snap to the center. Look at that. I don't need those guidelines anymore. I can just delete them. All right. There's the Roman numeral 1 in the center of that square. I want to make this 2, 3, and 4. Now, what I can do instead of like going that whole thing over again is I can highlight it, right click, right click, and hit copy. And so I'm just going to grab it here, and I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. Then I'm going to go ahead and change this to a 2. Change this to a 3. And change this to a 4. So once again, these are not necessarily centered. So I could go through the same exact steps to center it. I can draw a line through these nice little guidelines that will help me center these things. So now if I select this and I hit move, and I'll grab it right in the center here and put it. Oh, now check that out. If I hit move, it's not allowing me to grab this in the center. I can grab it on this end, and then it's going to try and snap it that way. What about this one? Will it allow me to grab it in the center? So if I try and grab it in the exact center, see, it doesn't allow me to do that. Wherever I grab it, it's going to snap it to. So what I'm going to do now, because I'm just going to have to eyeball this, is I'm going to go ahead and turn off my snaps. We're just going to totally deselect the snaps. We'll try this again. I hit move. I'm going to eyeball the center. I'm going to move it to the center. I'm going to eyeball the center. I'm going to move it to the center. Eyeball the center. And move it to the center. So I've got all my Roman numerals moved. And now I can just get rid of all of these lines that I did not need anymore. Okay. Everything's lined up. Now, let's say I want to twist this or change this. So I could also hit rotate. Maybe instead of the 4 square being there, maybe I'll put it on the side. So if I hit rotate, it's going to ask me to specify a reference point. So I'll specify a reference point. Now I can move my cursor around and around, and maybe I want to do it 90 degrees. Well, if I try and figure out exactly what 90 degrees here is, I'm going to have some issues. So what I can do is I can just type in 90 and hit enter. And ooh, that rotated. Let's see, highlight this and move it out of the way. That rotated 90, but I wanted it to go the other way. So what happened here? Well, let's see if we can rotate it again. And we will hit rotate. And this time I'll put 180 and see what happens. And where did that go? Yikes. What is that down there? It went way down there. I guess that was not a good thing to do. If I make a mistake like that, I can go back. All right, and I'll go back again. So there it is. Let's try this again. When I hit rotate, first of all, I did not specify the point, the base point. That was my problem. So if I click right here, and now I hit 180, there we go. It's rotated where I want it to be. And I'm going to go back here to my snaps, turn those on, and let's move this. Grab it here and snap it there. All right, so that is how we can create and manipulate text for our drawings. We're going to be using this a lot, so play around with it. Make sure you can do this well. See ya.